Remember Me by Elope to the Sea on AO3. Episode 11, Chapter 8. The Angel's Lullaby. Bakugo stared at Izuku as he rambled about something. He wasn't entirely sure what he was talking about, but to be fair, he also didn't really care. He was far more entertained with counting the stars in Izuku's cheeks, exactly 30, just like how he remembered, and tracing the same scar Izuku had gotten from the accident a few years ago. He still couldn't believe everything he remembered was there. He couldn't believe that Izuku was there, breathing and happy, with eyes filled with stars and talking about nonsense like he had never been gone. Bakugo didn't dare to move, too scared that this was just another dream. One of those countless dreams where he had a quirk, and instead of shouting, he soothed. Instead of making him cry, he made him laugh. Kachan? Deku asked, his brows furrowed in the way that reminded him of a time when they would do sleepovers in his house instead of fight in the school. Are you okay? Even the way his voice sounded was familiar. Bakugo let out a sigh, his hand stretching up to reach Izuku's head. Fluffy, he thought, and he petted it lightly. You're here, he whispered. His eyes fell to Izuku's face. Deku was blushing, his eyes in the ground, and a stupid smile crawling to his mouth. Katsuki squeezed his head ever so slightly, and Izuku laughed. Bubbly laugh. Courageous and sweet. The kind that he wanted to hear for the longest of time. Yeah, I told you already, Deku said, raising his head so they were looking at each other's eyes. I was always here. It sounded like something that popped out of one of his dreams, a phrase that he always wanted to hear. I was always here. I was never gone. What do you mean, Kachan? I was here the whole time. I never killed myself. Gritting his teeth at the idea of this being another dream, Katsuki held Izuku's head in his hands, as if the life depended on it. Maybe it did. Don't leave me again, idiot. Katsuki begged. He felt how heavy drops of water formed in the corner of his eye. He refused to let them drop, but they were far too big for him to control. Not to mention, he didn't want to lose control. Not after trying these last 2 years to hold it all in, never letting anything overtake him. He felt the soft pressure of Izuku's body against his. It was warm and real. He liked to think he could hold on to this, to prove that this wasn't a dream, to prove this wasn't just a fading memory like an illusion. I'm here, Izuku said again, uneasiness crawling up Katsuki's chin, as he didn't hear the promise not to leave back. Deku wasn't one to make promises he couldn't keep. Of that he knew far too well. I'm here, Kachan. So against all the odds, Bakugo held on to the faller frame, too scared to let go, too scared that it would vanish, too scared that this was just another dream, just another trick his stupid mind was playing on him, so he wouldn't feel guilt. Don't leave me again, he begged once more. He could feel his hands trembling against Izuku's body. Deku's body was calm, as he patted his head lightly, assuring him he was there. Kachan, please don't cry, Izuku begged, his voice breaking. Katsuki almost laughed. He was still a crybaby. I'm not crying, he spat back. There was a warm feeling as he shouted the response, a warm sense of familiarity, if he dared to say so. This was real, he assured himself, as he continued to bury his face in Izuku's hair. This was the realest thing he has felt for the past 2 years. Don't worry, Izuku said, a small smile forming in his lips. I won't let them take you away from me. Todoroki, like Uraraka, and he liked the idea of trusting her. Nevertheless, she was a villain, at the end of the day, so he couldn't trust himself to just waltz into the place, calling for Izuku, expecting everything to be alright. He didn't know the arcade like the palm of his hand, like 3 villains claimed to know. But he had gotten the rough hang of the layout from the last time they'd been there. Iida was the one he found first, after sneaking in by the air ducts that were in the walls. He was sitting on the couch, an obvious frown formed in his eyebrows as he glared at the wall in front of him. To his right was, what Todoroki guessed, was the room where Uraraka and Iida slept. To his back was the room he remembered Izuku being in. He grimaced at it, unsure what to feel with the memories that came to his mind. "I want to give you something," Izuku had said. A notebook. A burnt notebook that he didn't open, because he didn't want to know what was inside. He was hidden under the bed, not wanting any of his family members to find it. He wondered what it meant, but at the same time he was far too frightened of what it could have inside. Turn left to avoid facing Iida. He directed towards the door where Izuku was. He wasn't even sure what he'd say to him once he found him again. What was he supposed to say? How was he supposed to even let him give Bakugo back? He remembered Kaminari being defeated by the girls half his size, who had a floating quirk and a knife. Definitely a direct attack was not in his opinion. All he had to do was use his words, hope that he would find a way for Izuku to hear him out, to make him give up being a... He's not a bad guy. He's a villain. A villain. Was Izuku really one? The image of Momo came to mind. The words of the doctor saying she might not make it. The destruction caused by Uraraka and his friends all beaten up, covered in scars. Everyone says they were villains, but Izuku smiling in the convenience store, enjoying the sports festival, cheering him on from the bleachers. Uraraka laughing next to Izuku. Iida's story. The promise from Izuku that they wouldn't hurt civilians. The willingness to risk their lives to help Todoroki's friends. The fact that Izuku could have easily defeated them with his mind, and yet here he was, alive and standing. All he could see was a hero. A voice in the back of his mind started whispering, "We're anti-heroes." The voice sounded vaguely familiar to Uraraka's. "Uraraka?" It asked, startling Todoroki. He was talking through the small microphone attached to his ear. "What's wrong? Heroes? Oh, I guess so. I'm going there." With that, Iida left the room. Todoroki took the opportunity to step out of the shadows and walk towards Izuku's room in the arcade. He looked through the small door where he had seen Izuku slowly rip himself piece by piece. In the middle of the room, he saw him. Izuku was sitting on top of the desk, looking at one of the posters hanging in the walls. Bakugo was close by and... Todoroki's eyes widened. Bakugo wasn't his closest companion, but he knew enough from the class to realize something was wrong. Eerily wrong. His hands were holding Izuku in almost possessive manner, as Izuku just hummed to a song he knew too well. It was Ochako's lullaby. The lyrics, he remembered. What were they? Bakugo rested his hand on top of Izuku's, and Todoroki managed to catch a glimpse of his eyes. Bakugo wasn't a weak person, but every time he went overboard in training, you could always see this glint in his eyes, almost as if he was scared of himself, of what he could cause. As he held Izuku, the small tint coloring his eyes were more present than ever. It was a full-blown explosion of colors, of pain and fright. "You know, Kachan?" Izuku began speaking. Bakugo only hummed in acknowledgement that Izuku was talking. "I'm so glad I could meet you again. I wanted to say hi during the sports festival, but in the end, I couldn't. I'm so glad you won, though." "That thing was a scam," Bakugo said, and Todoroki was startled by his own voice. It wasn't loud, or a yell, as he often did. It was small and low. Not losing the bite it always had, but definitely weaker. "I only won because that half-and-half bastard didn't dare use his power." "Ah, Todoroki," Izuku said with a beam. Todoroki's heart skipped a beat at the way Izuku called his name, without a care in the world. "He's really cool, isn't he?" "You know him?" Bakugo asked, his eyes in Izuku's face. "Of course I do. He's my friend." Izuku smiled as he said so. Bakugo just stared at him. "Your friend," Bakugo repeated, amused look in his face. "Yeah, we met at the convenience store," Izuku explained. "I mean, I would hate it if he were in UA right now." "Why?" Bakugo asked, this time holding Izuku closer to him. "Oh, the League of Villains is going to attack?" Izuku said with a shrug. Todoroki's own shoulders tense up. A knot formed at the base of his throat, and his vision blurred. In front of him, he saw Katsuki freeze too. "What do you mean?" Bakugo dragged the words, as shocked of what he was being told as Todoroki most likely was. Izuku turned his head to Bakugo, a curious look in his wide green eyes. With his hoodie up, Todoroki couldn't find the words evil to describe him, but in bold dark letters, he could picture dangerous in almost a perfect way. "The League of Villains is going to attack UA," Izuku repeated. He looked so calm as he said that, eyes wide, small smile, and the purest look Todoroki has ever seen in someone. "But I'm not sure what they want to do. But apparently they want to kill All Might and destroy the school?" "What?" Before Todoroki could open his mouth, Bakugo was already shouting. Startled, Todoroki fell back a bit. Without missing a second, Bakugo stood up, eventually dropping Izuku from his hold. Izuku didn't seem to care. He instead looked up to him from the floor. "They want to destroy All Might?" Bakugo yelled once again. Todoroki wasn't sure if it was in pain or distress, or anger from what he just saw in Bakugo's eyes. Probably it was all mixed up inside of him. "Yeah, I think," Izuku said, slowly getting up. He stared at Bakugo, straight in his eyes. Bakugo fell back a bit, as he stared at the hollow eyes that watched his every move. He felt cornered, and at the same time, powerless, despite the fact that the quirkless wasn't him. What's wrong with that? "They'll kill him!" Bakugo managed to yell back. Izuku kept staring at him. Anger boiled inside of Bakugo. "They'll kill our hero, the symbol of peace!" For an instant, Bakugo was scared of the idea of this being a dream again. Or worse, it being a nightmare. One that he couldn't escape or wake from. In his nightmares, Izuku turned into a monster, trying to kill him for... "Oh, they won't," Izuku says, his face unmoving. "At least I don't think they will. It's All Might after all. No one could kill him." Bakugo let out a sigh. It was still Deku. "But it is likely that they'll kill the rest of the students." Izuku kept talking. Bakugo clenched his fist. "I would make the calculation to see how many of them would be alive, but I'm too tired, and it won't be the exact with so little time in advance." Todoroki closed his eyes as soon as the fist landed on Izuku's face. There was a moment of heavy silence, in which Todoroki felt unable to look at them. From the corner of the eye, he managed to see drops of blood falling from the corner of Izuku's chin to the floor. "Kachan." It was a low voice, trembling with each letter, and a raged breath at the end. A hiccup filled the room, and then a sob. "Kachan!" The way that Izuku called Bakugo's name tugged at Todoroki's heart. It was the kind of voice in which he used to call for his mom. In the back of his mind, Todoroki wondered what had happened to Izuku's mom. "You're sick," Bakugo said out loud. His voice was bigger than the place he was in. It echoed in the walls. As he stepped forward, "Let me out of here. I'll go help my friends." "Ah, that's right." Izuku's choked words came out as he lifted his head. His face was covered in tears, as a broken smile opened through his blood-stained face. Izuku held his nose, dripping with blood, as he tried to keep talking. "Kachan has friends now. He doesn't need me." "What are you mummering about, idiot?" Bakugo asked, his gaze on Izuku's frame. Instead of answering right away, Izuku began lifting his body. Face to face with Katsuki, he was so small in comparison, at least 10 centimeters shorter. In a malnourished body, Izuku was nothing more than a sack of bones. The inside of Bakugo's head was screaming for him to run, that this wasn't a good idea. But Bakugo was never one to run away from a fight. He stared at Izuku's hollowed eyes, screaming at him something he couldn't decipher. A step forward, and Bakugo felt chills down his spine at the way Izuku looked at him. He looked ready to kill a man, and Bakugo wasn't sure if said man was him. Before he could react, Izuku launched himself towards Bakugo. "Shit!" he cursed, feeling the weight of Izuku fall on top of him. He closed his eyes and prepared to deal another punch until... "Kachan, I love you." A pair of soft lips pressed against his, and Bakugo knew he was fucked. His body wouldn't respond to him. as memories came surging back to him. Oh, no fucking way. No fucking way. Oh my god. I love this. 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 I love this! It's so cute. Okay. I mean, it's obviously not cute. Because, you know. But like, okay. So they kissed. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is a fast burn. Is Todoroki gonna be jealous and then like how okay, wait, hold up. Okay. What? Okay. Oh my god. Okay. I can do this. Of course I can do this. I mean, like, okay. Okay. Anyways, as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.